Hi everyone. Welcome to a quick overview of our content for week 9. Focus on what's happening in terms of the new media. I mean, not new to you, but new in an advertising sense of digital marketing. And the rapid adoption of the internet obviously has had a big impact on many things. Typically, the speed, or more significantly, the speed and convenience of information access has been huge, and the impact that has had on things. E-commerce has kind of been a leveler in terms of smaller companies versus larger companies, and the ability of the internet to kind of move that forward has been pretty significant as well. So marketers have embraced the internet. You can get better targeting because the fact that you're going to a specific IP address, people are offering information either through opt-in programs via Facebook, Twitter, other things. It really has allowed information, even though it's sort of, you can do sort of in this, we've had discussion this week about direct email and some of its inefficiencies, but you actually, it's much more targeted. There's a lot more information in there, and the speed at which you can process information and put it into these databases and manage it and actually react and adapt to it is pretty significant. So the look and feel of a website is totally significant. There are some websites I'm sure that you've gone to that just aren't easy to navigate, move around, and turn people off and force them to go other ways. And there is um, a right way and a wrong way, if you will. I'll give it that in terms of website design and interfaces. Many of you are involved in those kinds of programs and learn that laying out all these kinds of things are pretty significant as well. So if you look at the web, it does have the opportunity, particularly through vehicles like Twitter and others, to create buzz. It's kind of electronic word of mouth, which can move much more rapidly than traditional word of mouth because of the speed of the internet and the connections that people have. So that can cut both ways clearly. You look at someone like Under Armour; they actually have a really good website. Here's a screenshot of that. Just looking at, taking a peek at how they lay it out, how they try to get customers or prospective customers engaged, what they're featuring, what they're trying to do to get people to navigate it a certain way is very important. I think that's a great example of a very well done website. And e-commerce, right? The ability to have a store front without putting up any brick and mortar is pretty significant. And these vehicles for e-commerce, especially for smaller companies, are a pretty reasonable percentage of sales. And the web has changed. It used to be that Web 1.0, when it first came out a number of years ago, not that many, but in your lifetime significant, but in the whole lifetime of myself or looking at um, you know, the life of modern marketing, much longer in terms of time. It used to be that you had customers and you had manufacturers and you had transactions and feedback and so on. But now you have Web 2.0 is where you have customers, and it's not just transactions and feedback. There's interactions, there's contribution. The crowd helps to sort of kind of drive the bus, and that's certainly a very different demographic that creates not only opportunities but many times challenges and negative consequences that go with that as well. All kinds of internet advertising, traditional banner advertising, there's sponsors, there's pop-ups, push technology, links. All these things are different forms of internet advertising. Paid search, behavioral targeting, rich media, these are all things that we were talking about AdWords in the fora that are posted this week, and some people are discovering for the first time what that is and how that kind of works. So all these different kinds of vehicles to get information out the door. And typically, ads is, commercials pay for traditional broadcast TV. Ads on the internet pay sort of the same model, except a bit different. Paying on clicks versus impressions, and there's been some discussion about that this week on the discussion board. And I do like the fact that we've got some good animated discussion. Maybe it's because the topic is something that you've grown up with and you engage on a regular basis, and that might make it a bit more interesting to you. But ultimately, any kind of advertising is about getting a buy, right? That's the most successful validation, if you will, of any kind of advertising and marketing expense. Internet search advertising, you're familiar with that. Paid placement, the stuff on Google that is paid for and shown as such that comes through AdWords and other kinds of programs that Google and others are doing. And every site has their version of that as well. You look at, because the fact that you have an IP address, you have somebody that's opted in with some information, you can look at some history, surfing history through cookies and other things that get put on there where people who are pushing these websites can kind of look at behavior and see what's going on. All this kind of thing makes for a much more powerful for advertisers and much more utility-based engine than doing traditional classic kinds of marketing, whether it be snail mail, as you've called it, direct marketing, or other sort of one-way broadcast media things like television or radio. Paid search, again, you look at people, depending on what you're searching on, prices for terms change. Mesothelioma is essentially, it's a you say $50 per click. Well, if you think about somebody that's diagnosed with that, and that's a pretty significant medical issue that you run into, the cost of treatment, and actually, that's a big legal issue too. It's basically a condition that's caused by asbestos or exposure to asbestos, and so it ends up being, you've got lots of lawyers and legal entities that are kind of engaged in that. So anybody that kind of clicks through there, you think $50 for a click is a pretty expensive proposition, but you look at the kinds of lawsuits that are out there, multi-million-dollar lawsuits. $50 per click is actually a pretty small, paltry sum to pay for the potential revenue and profit that can come from securing a client that's been exposed to that, and that you can prove in court that has been harmed by a particular product or service from a company. And if you look at things like YouTube and other kind of venues like that, you've got rich video, audio, animation. These things are things that help engage customers, prospective customers, clients, and obviously the web is always looking at vehicles that drive that and do a good job of it. Podcasting, RSS feeds, blogs, and more tend to be some things that are out there. There's a lot of them, and a little more thought goes into that, a little more engagement. You don't expect a certain bang from the buck there, but in some circles it's certainly important. So, Web 2.0 is so different than the initial early days of the web, where you look at, social media, you have customers' engagement through things like YouTube and Facebook, Twitter, a whole host of others that are sort of out there, and some new ones that we're not even sure what they'll be. Those are U.S. versions. They also, if you look in Asia, like Tencent, or there's all kinds of versions, variations, if you will, of U.S.-based concerns that have moved forward. So social media is the engagement of multiple people, crowdsourcing, where there is a conversation. It's not a one-way transfer of information back and forth. And it's an important part of any integrated marketing communication effort and campaign. And many customers, many producers, manufacturers have embraced it and do a very good job. It's very easy to, because of the power of computing and the inexpensiveness of storing and the power of databases, to be able to really go through a ton of information in real time and have it tell you a lot about what's going on, and you can react quickly. Whereas when you look at traditional media like radio and TV that gets broadcast, and then you kind of wait back and you wait a month or several weeks or many days and wait to see what results are. This thing you find out literally real time and can change the campaign. So that allows you to look at real good return on investment, track things, all kinds of elements that you can use to move the thing forward. Like anything, there are some cons to it, as well as as pros in terms of internet marketing. And it's not a be-all to end-all. There are other, you still have to do a proper amount of strategy, planning, look at other demographics that may not be as best suited for internet. There are some areas in the world where internet access is still very limited, so you still have to fall back on traditional means of marketing. Some of the disadvantages is there's so much information out there. You look at the amount of data that's loaded up via YouTube on a daily basis. It's just insane how many hours and hours, and just finding that one sort of kernel of information that you're looking for through that whole big sort of cesspool of data is not always easy. So there's a lot of clutter issues, certainly concerns about privacy, other things that are disadvantages to it as well. So far I'm very happy with the take and trend on our fora. I've responded and have gone through everything posted to date right now on week 9, and pretty happy that we've gotten good engagement and lots of good input from everybody, and I hope you continue that for the next couple days that the boards will be up. So that's it for this week, and speak with you soon. As always, any questions, feel free to reach out to me either by email or, if you'd like, do it by phone too. Thanks.